Monday, November 10th, 2025. I'd like to call to order the Plan Commission meeting. Can I get a roll call, please?
Krecklo.
Here.
Lindowski.
Here.
Gronimus.
Here.
Holenbeck.
Here.
Millsap.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
All right. Thank you. Yessie, can I get a proof of posting for this meeting?
Yes, the agenda was posted in the upper and lower level of the Almanson Center, the post office, Badger Bank, the website, and also the public hearings were published on the paper on October 23rd and October 30th.
Okay. Thank you. We have a agenda item for public appearances, citizen input. Does anybody want to make a statement from the public?
Is this what we're supposed to talk about yourself? Okay, thanks.
You're here
Okay.
for agenda items?
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. No public appearances, citizen input tonight. Agenda item number 4, approval of minutes of the October 13th, 2025. I'm looking for a motion.
I would move to approve the minutes.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Anybody have any questions? I know it was a meeting with only 4 of us, so. Give everybody a chance to go through the minutes. Everything looked fine to me. Okay. No further discussion unless I heard any. So, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes have been approved. Do we have any correspondence, Yessie? No. Okay, sounds good. Moving on to item number 6, our public hearings. We have 3 of them tonight, so they are on the agenda. We'll take those in order. Starting with the first one, the Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map Amendment. This is for 230 Billstad Road, correct?
Yeah.
Somebody representing that?
Do you want MSA staff report first or the applicant?
Staff report?
Let's take the staff report. Thank you.
Okay.
Is this public,
This
is
is
public
for
hearing?
public hearing.
That's
Oh,
you.
you're right.
That's you.
You're right.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Yep. Check. Go ahead.
Just state
Thanks,
your
Dean.
name and address.
Yep.
please.
My name is Mike Coughlin, and I live at 230 Billstad Road. And I'm here to change the comprehensive plan from
Could
neighborhood
you
mixed
speak
use.
up, please?
I'm here to change the, I don't know if it's working.
I don't think it's working.
It only goes into here, it's not a loudspeaker.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
I'm here to change the comprehensive plan from
Okay.
neighborhood mixed use to, I believe it's a smaller density.
Neighborhood residential?
Neighborhood residential, yep. So that would entail on parceling 6.58 acre lots along Billstad Road.
So you're speaking in favor of this change?
I am, yep.
Is there any other planned area in this, or just these 6 lots?
Just those 6 lots.
So you wouldn't be opposed to us just designating these 6 lots as neighborhood residential and keeping the rest in neighborhood mixed use?
That would be fine, yep. The outlot number 1, I guess I'm not sure if you have the CSM in front of you, but that's actually an agriculture. But this isn't technically like a rezone, it's just for the comprehensive plan. So yeah, for the comprehensive plan, it could stay in neighborhood mixed use.
It's recommended for 3 to 10 units density in this place, which fits into that with 6, correct?
Yeah.
Looks like.
Yeah, okay, yeah, the 3 to, yes, exactly.
But from what I'm reading here, though, you would have plans to put in 2 on each of those plots?
Nope,
No.
just single family lots.
Each one would be single family?
Mm-hmm.
And a half acre apiece, is that
half
what I
acre
read?
piece. Yep.
With no plan in the future to develop the rest.
Nope.
No plans for any neighborhood areas in there, just 6 lots?
Yep. Yeah, so my house is on the remaining 14 acres.
Mike, can you tell us about the meeting, the water sewer meeting with the discussion that went on there? And
Yep. So I had a meeting this afternoon at 5 p.m. with water and sewer because Billstad Road does not have village water and sewer.
Oh,
Billstad Road is, I think they said, 22 feet below South Street. So to have that, it would require a lift station as well as sanitary and water to be ran, which is about $700,000 before the lift station. So,
and who's proposing to pay for the lift station?
well, water and sewer approved the 6 lots to be on a well and septic.
Oh,
so it was an exception to the village requirement that it be on water and sewer.
okay.
So in order to not spend the money to provide
Yeah.
the pump station, I sat in on the meeting this morning, earlier, to listen to the
Were
discussion.
there any meetings with regard to the condition of the road down there and its ability to carry the loads?
There wasn't a discussion about the road, was there, before I
Yeah.
got here?
Bill Pinow brought it up.
Okay.
Yep. It's just a, 18 to 20 foot wide road. And it didn't really go anywhere with them.
It is pretty narrow.
It is a narrow road.
And I'm
Yep.
wondering if, would the village require gutter, curb and gutter?
Gutter and sidewalk is what.
And sidewalk, because it is so narrow. If you're gonna have children or anybody walk, you wouldn't wanna walk on that road.
Well, I have children that walk on that road now.
Well, I know,
so-
but there's gonna be 6 more houses in there. There's already 5 down on the end.
Mhm.
So you're adding 6 more, you're doubling the population basically, and maybe more in that area, and the traffic. I would think we would want to have curb and gutter and sidewalk, at least along that side.
Well, there were issues in the springtime as well with regard to the substrate for the road. It can't handle much wind.
Right, it's kind of torn up in a couple of places down there. It's been patched and so on, but it will deteriorate the more traffic that's on there.
So I guess I feel a little guilty about discussing this during the
Yeah,
public. So let's,
yep.
Yeah, because we're currently right now during a public hearing where you want to save the discussion for.
Yep. Any other questions? All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to move on to public hearing number 2. This is amendments to the village zoning ordinance. Was this brought forth by anyone, Yessie?
This is the change.
If you
the-
like, I could just say what the requests are on these before
Yeah.
the public hearings. I won't go into the staff report if that's helpful.
Sure.
I think it would be helpful.
Yes, thank you.
the way these are posted, excuse me, but the way these are posted, are these 3 separate hearings?
They
Yeah, you
are.
should
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
close the
Yes.
hearing on each.
So you have to open and close the
Oh,
hearing?
Yeah.
you're right. I'm sorry. I'm very apologize. So,
We closed at 6:39 and I open at 6:39 for the second one.
okay, second one is open at 6.
6:39.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, again, so I'm Steve Trumlett, planner and zoning administrator at work. And so this one, which is, I believe you're looking at the residential zoning districts, is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay. This came about with review of a current development that might have to go for plan unit development, but the only reason they're looking to do that is because of the lot sizes they're looking for. And when I reviewed the ordinance, you have low-density residential, medium-density residential, and high-density residential. And the lot width, lot size are the same in each of those districts. And that's typically not what you would see. To get additional density, those numbers should come down lower as you go up in density. So this public hearing and potential consideration is to look to revise those bulk requirements, as they're called, per each of those districts, which we'll go through in the staff report later.
Okay. That would take a ordinance change to do that, correct? Okay.
Anyone here to speak on that?
No. I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions. Pretty straightforward for me. So. Everybody good? Understand? Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. I don't think there's any further questions on that one.
Close that one?
Yep. Let's close out that hearing. So closing out the amendments to the village zoning ordinance. Okay. We're going to open the hearing on the third item, which is the amendment to the BC Central Business District, which is in our packets.
So yeah, so I'll give you a quick request, and I think there probably is someone here to speak on this one. So the applicant of that property, 111 Spring Street, came previously to look to rezone that property, and that was denied. In conversation with me, the option that was potentially presented here today is the consideration of allowing for ground or street level, and I say that because in some cases you could have ground and street level as a different scenario. So we're just covering our bases by saying allowing for residential on ground or street level off of Main Street. And so that would be per a conditional use. So that is what the request is by the applicant.
So it would just be that it was off Main Street because it's right kind of around the corner.
Yeah,
And
when I
it
go through the
wouldn't be
staff
covered
report
by
review,
that Main Street kind of.
Correct, and so there's other properties in that BC district. So this will be a change to the district itself. So while the applicant is they're looking at their property, this impacts all properties off Main with that option as a conditional use. So you'll always have the option to look through each unique case and decide there's additional conditions to approve it.
But in this case, again, this is a hearing, so I don't know whether these questions really need to be investigated at this moment in time. but,
Correct.
Is it pretty quick and easy to change that back to retail space if we approve it this way? Is it, or once we make this change, all of a sudden now this becomes a home, which would be a bit of an albatross if you tried to sell it under normal circumstances, because nobody wants a home in the middle of a retail space. So what's up with that?
Yeah, I think I could answer that now or after the public hearing.
Yeah, okay, all right.
But I will answer that question for you.
Okay.
So you want her to speak then?
Yes.
Public
Yes,
hearing?
please.
Hello, I'm Jen Obranovich. I'm the agent with EOE Real Estate LLC that we purchased the building at 111 Spring Street in February. It came mixed use, so the upper is already a residential 3-bedroom, rented immediately as there is a housing shortage in this area. The lower, we were able to rent month to month for an office. I mean, they have plastic tables and chairs in their office for a little while, but haven't had much success on any other type of commercial rental in that space. It is located off Main Street. It is a freestanding building, so it isn't like connected to another building or inside other buildings. The request for conditional use, I did send over a packet of information. I don't know if you all got it and were able to read it. If not, I do have it on my phone and I could read it, but so it's been a little confusing, obviously, with that first denial and what this process is. So it's my understanding now, Steve can correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys are going to vote to change the conditional use to allow conditional use on side streets in the business district, and then I'll have to come back and you'll have to actually vote on my property. I was interested in hearing Steve's response to that, because right now we currently have a housing shortage. My wife and I own another 2 businesses in town, and we've had 4 homeless employees. So we are aware of the housing issue in the area. So right now that meets this building, like, its demands. But that's not to say in 5 years we won't want to come back to you guys, because I personally, when I bought the building, wanted to put a pet store in. It's just not feasible right now. So I'm hoping the answer is yes, that the conditional use can be rezoned for residential, and then maybe when we can have some growth in that property, we want to, this spring, fix the outside and make it prettier. It's kind of falling apart and stuff like that. So once we can kind of invest back into the property, then we would not to say to come back and ask for.
So this would be primarily remain a rental type property
Yes,
as opposed to selling it as a primary residence?
Correct. Yeah, it would stay as an investment property. Currently, the building to the left is the Masons, the Freemasons, so they're open 2 times a month. And then the building on the right is Ameriprise Insurance, and then it's residential. So we're pretty much in the norm of what's going on that street. It's not like it's a bunch of bustling businesses and then there's people living right in the middle. So, do you have any questions for me? Perfect.
I don't.
Cool.
Anybody?
Thank you for considering.
Thank you. So just to be clear, the hearing was on a proposal to amend that district, right? Not that specific property, but it's as part of that, so, okay. Just want to make sure everybody's clear, okay? Sounds good. Any other, it looks like we're going to close that public hearing. Yes, all right. That is the 3 public hearings that I had on the agenda, just to confirm, right? Okay, sounds good. All right, then moving on to new business. This is action required on our hearing. So let's start with number 8, discussion possible action on a comprehensive plan, future land use map amendment. So this is on the first item. Thank you.
Yeah, so I didn't fill you in on this one a little bit more, just would like to clear up a couple things that were stated.
This is for the 6 properties on Billstead Road. Just want to make sure everybody's, yep, okay.
So, as shown on, if you have the report, you'll see on the first page there, the property we're talking about. We know that Billstead dead ends into a property. It's not continuous. It's a golf course across the way. Looking to do 6 half-acre lots, which is, if you do the density that you were talking about in the comp plan, that is 2 units in an acre. So that's 2 units per acre, which is below the typical 3 to, what did we say, 3 to 10 of neighborhood residential. So I just want to clarify that it's actually lower of density than you are typically suggesting, but it does leave the door open, because it does say, the exact verbiage was, most places will be 3 to 10 units density, so it does open the door for it to be a little bit less or a little bit higher in other locations. But again, that is if you go to neighborhood residential, which is what's being requested. As a neighborhood mixed-use property within the future land use category, that's suggesting higher density. So that's why I was noted that to allow for a future request to rezone and to do the land division, this request would have to be taking it from neighborhood mixed use down to neighborhood residential. And I will note, if you allow just the 6 lots and he owns the property in the north, the realities of neighborhood mixed use become a lot smaller of need to work within the rest of that property. So potential recommendation is, if you are going to approve it down to neighborhood residential, that it might behoove you just do it for the entire property that includes his property, because he already says he's probably not going to rezone it. Just something to consider. One thing to consider of when we did the comp plan, MSA supported that effort as well, is the busier road's gonna be on the county road further west. So there is some consideration and merit if neighborhood mixed use further back in the lot, other than it's next to the golf course, may not be a potential use long-term. It is still showing higher density along the county road. That's what that hatching is, if you look at that graphic. So that's still intended for the property west of here, that's between this property and the county road, is still showing to be higher density. Granted, it's interesting to hear about the lift station needs. That typically would require a higher density to pay for itself. And so, yeah, the density shown for what is being proposed would not work ideally for the financials. So that is a little bit more background. This is the first step of them to approve this, where you might talk about other aspects of sidewalk or curb and gutter. I also mentioned when that comes forward is considerations also as how stormwater managed. When you disturb more than an acre, you have to consider Dane County's restrictions on stormwater management. So that's a still outstanding consideration for when the land division comes forward. But again, this is about the first step. Are you going to accept that this neighborhood mixed use and the density suggested in the comp plan could be reduced to neighborhood residential based on the current interest of the landowner?
What I find kind of interesting is the properties just to the south of that, where there are 5 more homes, that already is neighborhood residential.
Correct.
So this would butt up to, it would just make sense to continue neighborhood residential.
I can speak to the reasoning it was presented this way. I guess I would have seen it more maybe to the west, closer to the highway, is that the intention of the comp plan was to think about allowing for some walkable retail or shops near major neighborhoods. Now we could say, is there gonna be a major neighborhood further south of here? Maybe not. So maybe it was something that could be considered here. It does, that it's not necessary to continue this as neighborhood mixed use.
So the part where it says the language most places does allow for deviation, does that mean it's not necessarily clear if that is okay or not? It just says it could be or no?
It was intentional in the verbiage that, comp plan in general is much like 10,000 feet up in the air. It's a very higher level. So it's a broad range, 3 to 10. It does allow for that certain properties to be a little bit below or a little bit above that.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember when we first approved this split, because I think we purposely said that and asked if you were just going to keep this at 20 acres, because I believe the Kenseth property, we also made a statement to him that he wasn't going to split that up either into developments because of water, sewer, because of road condition, and we can't really expand that road to put in curb and gutter or sidewalk. So we were going to try and limit, I think, back in the day.
Yep.
All that said, I'm not opposed to these 6, but they're just things we need to consider. Because if we split up the 6, I wouldn't be excited to see any more splits in here and have even more properties with more people on that road, all with their own well and septic versus, making use of.
Well, there'll be a call. There'd be a
Right.
call to put it on, because they have a right to be sewered.
Right.
And we're building a problem for ourselves.
Correct.
That either water, sewer, or the village can't afford. Water, sewer is, we're the most expensive Class D sewer system in the state, or have been for many years. Right. And this could be an additional burden placed on the rest of the village. So, I don't know how you would structure it to ensure that we don't, become the victim of our own largesse here.
Well, do we normally do exceptions like that for water, sewer, for this type of thing and say it's okay? I understand why, but is it
It's rare.
normal?
It's rare.
Rare.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I could see if there was going to be plan for more how, you'd be like, well, we didn't do it for this six,
Well, you
so a
would-
couple
you-
more, right?
Normally, you would come in with a master plan. Normally, you'd have a developer that would have a larger plan that would incorporate more growth that would be able to pay for itself.
But as he said, though, this is a first step. This is not part of the development. This would just allow other decisions to be made further down the road. This is not making decisions about what's gonna go in there or how it's gonna go in there or anything like that.
No, but
This
it's,
is just
it's a little like a seduction, though. Well, if we
Well,
just do
yeah.
this, maybe we can do that, and on and on and on.
Did we
I
sort-
only brought up what I did only because we had a couple new members on the board, and I was just
Thank
ju-
you.
just
Yeah.
trying
Yeah,
to share a little
thank you.
bit.
But didn't we already do that at one point with the neighbors to the south here by already making them neighborhood residential?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're
We-
there.
we- They're
They're
there. They are already there,
Yeah.
neighborhood residential.
And that's the argument that's gonna be made for the next couple lots that go in.
That's true.
And then all of a sudden now we're off to the races. So I'd be more inclined if this was a larger plan, if this was a more structured plan. I mean, like Scott Farms had a development and Summer Prairie had a development and this deserves, you got some acreage here, so.
Are we allowed just to rezone the 6 new lots, or do we have to rezone the entire 20-acre parcel?
So this won't be a rezone at this time. That'll be a future request.
Right.
But at that stage, if you were to approve or recommend approval to board this future land use category change, and he comes back with the zoning rezone and land division, dividing the land up as he intends will require rezoning every property, even his current parent lot, because it's actually not in residential currently, it's in ag.
But to your point, you're approving going down the road, so then the next, that's gonna go forward, right? So,
You're setting the stage.
mhm.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, depending what you're trying to get the outcome, it does say 3 to 10 in most places. So you can, they're all, yes, it does pave the way, but each request has to be evaluated per what's being submitted on zoning and on land division next. So,
And we do need tax dollars.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, yeah. No, I'd be happy if it was just a more defined development, larger. We're gonna end up with a situation like we had where we had these roads that are too small for emergency vehicles. We've done that for developers in the past too, where we needed the tax dollars, so we allowed the development to go in, and it was substandard, and now, we're looking at problems down the road. So as long as
He's
we're going in with
willing
our
to
eyes open, that's all I say.
Oh, yeah.
Am I able just to make a comment?
Oh.
In the water and sewer meeting earlier today, they asked that the 6 lots, if they were approved, that the outlot where my house is would have a deed restriction on it saying there would be no more development.
Oh.
Without further approval, which would be an amendment to the deed restriction on the 14 remaining acres.
And you had also mentioned that your wife was wanting to make the remaining property like a conservation area,
Yeah,
correct?
she wants to do, like a perennial bloom. So
That
would
puts a
be
different
like
light on it.
14
Yes.
acres.
I also am not, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure like how realistic it is to expect a mixed use to fill in where it's currently zoned, so.
And also to the west is actually the town of Christiana too, right?
yeah, the comp plan does propose, if it were to be annexed in, it provides guidance for the village to know what that should be zoned as, what the future land use would be. But currently, it's in town, correct?
For the water and the sewer, I know each unit would have, or each building, or each whatever would have to have its own septic. Is there any consideration to having one well shared with all 6?
Not the well, but me and Steve Struss during that meeting talked about, 2 houses would share a septic and a well,
Okay,
so there'd only be 3
sure.
down there.
So we don't have a motion, possible action on anything.
Well, I agree with what Jeff is saying, but I do think that this can be contained.
Well, as long as the deed restrictions are there, yeah, that puts a different complexion on things, I think. So, I'd be interested to know what the deed restriction actually is, you know. But beyond that,
But that could come up in the next,
yep,
the next
exactly.
next part of this. So I guess I would make a recommendation, or yeah, to submit to the village board that we would approve, that they should approve this.
Does that sound like a motion?
It's a motion, not a recommendation.
Okay.
Sorry, Brian.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're clear.
I
So,
would second that.
okay, so we have a motion, a second, to approve the comp plan? Wait a minute.
Amendment
Sure,
to the comp
the
plan.
amendment, right? Okay. And that's to rezone the entire area or just those 6 lots with
To
the,
change
Well,
the
for-
future land use from neighborhood mixed use to neighborhood residential.
for the entire lot? Or just those 6?
I think we might as well for the entire lot, because
I
like.
think, I'd like to make sure we're clear of what
Yeah,
we're
I
actually,
agree.
because I heard a couple different things.
Yeah, I agree.
I would say the entire.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the entire lot, that's the recommendation,
Mhm.
okay. And, okay. Thoughts? I like the idea of more houses and more economic development in town, so. I think water and sewer concerns have been addressed. I think I would be concerned if there was gonna be a whole bunch of more and then if there was gonna be a master plan, but it sounds like that's been addressed, so. That's my thoughts. Any other discussion? We have a motion, a second.
Is that how you were wanting this to be worded, was for the whole? I guess I'm confused on the language. Like, you want it zoned that way for the, not zoned, the plan amended for the whole property or just the 6 lots? I'm not understanding.
I think the applicant was open to either option.
Yeah, I think we have to do the whole parcel first, right?
I mean,
Okay,
yeah, it's not divided.
okay.
And I was either way recommending if you're going to allow the 6 lots, the remaining portion's not going to be ideal
Right,
for neighborhood mixed use. So recommendation
okay,
from MSA is the whole parcel and
Okay.
agree, it is currently only, well, it does not matter. Future land use can be divided how they want. But, yes, that
okay.
is a
The
recommendation.
language just gets a little tricky.
It probably clarifies when, if you do a deed restriction, that would apply better as well.
Yeah.
It includes the entire,
Yeah, the
Right.
remaining 14 acres of that parcel is pretty low land.
it is.
So I'm not sure it would even be suitable for big development anyways.
So I have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? All right, the motion is to approve the planned amendment, and it's for the entire lot for that, so. We have a vote? Roll call vote? Right, Yessie? Okay.
Krekel,
Yes.
Lewandowski,
Yes.
Gronemus,
Yes.
Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Millsap,
Yes.
Schultz. Yes, that passes.
All right, motion approved. That'll be recommended to the village board and added to the, is it going to be on the agenda for, probably not this next one, but the next meeting in November, correct?
November.
Would the deed restriction information be applicable at that time? Do we know? A, would you have it? And B, would that be something that would be taken into consideration for the next step?
Well, the next step would be when they come before us for the rezoning.
Yeah.
And there we would have to have.
Yes.
All right.
I think it would get recorded with the CSM, right, Steve?
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
for me.
I think we're good. Thank you.
go put 3 kids under 4 to bed.
Okay.
Good
Oh,
luck.
Thank
have
you.
fun.
Yeah.
All right. Yessie, I didn't want to hold you. I don't think that'll be on the agenda for tomorrow,
I was
correct?
just looking at the agenda.
I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to let somebody know if it wasn't going to be on there because I know that agenda went out. So.
It is, yes, it is.
I was gonna say, I thought she put
Yes,
those
it
on
is.
there.
Okay, so it's
Yep.
already okay, so anyway, he left, put 4 kids in there. So it'll be on the agenda for tomorrow night's meeting. Okay. All right, item number B, discussion and possible action on amendments to the village zoning ordinance.
Yeah, so the follow-up with that, I gave you the request. Again, this was reviewing a PUD potential and saw that there's a need to maybe consider changing the bulk standards. And so you'll see on page 2 what the current one is, where it's at 10,800 for all 3 districts, which is roughly a quarter acre. So it's 4 units per acre. And that's constant through them. Same with the lot width being at 80. So it doesn't allow for greater density as you go up. So the red text you see on pages starting at 2 and on to page 3 shows recommendations. So a slight reduction in lot size. A lot more homes are going up in the county that are, 0.22 acres, which is basically what that is. So not all the way up to a quarter acre. So this, again, is setting a minimum standard. It could be bigger than that, but this is the lowest. And then changing the interior side yard to 10 feet. So that was originally 12. So as you have minimums that are smaller lots, you need to reduce a little bit of the setbacks to still allow for a footprint. But again, just for reference, the requirement in the building code is at least 10 feet. Anything less than 10 feet, then you have to have fire wall. So, if you have 10 feet on one property and 10 on another, that's actually 20 feet of separation minimum. Then under RM, which is the medium density showing, and actually, I like these tables. The intention is to put tables in. Currently, it's just all words. And it's showing you the differences that would be between single unit or single family residential, 2-unit residential, and 0 lot line duplex. And again, the 0 lot line duplex is aesthetically the same. It's a building that has a common wall between 2 units. The difference being duplex has the same ownership. It's 1 lot. The 0 lot line is 2 lots that make up that one building of 2 units. So each unit is owned by someone else, typically. So you'll see that the lot width for 0 lot line is half that of what 2-unit is, because it's basically the same, it's just split into 2 lots. Front yard is dropped from 25 to 20. Usually when you get a little bit more density, you might allow a little bit less coming up to the front. And then you see that variability in the side yard for 7 feet for single family, 10 feet for 2-unit, and 10 feet for 0 lot line, except 0 obviously on the common wall. So that's the modifications there. Then the high density has a little more gradation because then you add in multifamily buildings. But you see that there's slight reduction in what's required. So single family is not allowed in the high density. So that's why that's not on this table. So you start with the 2-unit, the 0 lot line, then there's townhouses, and then multifamily. So you see that gradation of lot size and lot width.
How does this compare with other municipalities? Is this pretty standard? Is this?
Yes, I do zoning administration in Lodi, and the comp plan talks about removing barriers to affordability of housing. And this is a similar amendments that they went through, for example.
Is there like county guidelines? Because we sit in between 2 counties. I don't know if that has any bearing or anything like that.
You can
Complete
control your own
control.
restrictions.
Oh, okay.
I should also note that I also increased the maximum building height for the multifamily to 45 feet. The question mark on that is sometimes verifying what fire apparatus can manage.
Which I believe that's why we limited it to 30 feet because of the equipment we have.
35 is what you currently have,
35.
correct?
Yeah.
What's gone with more traditional multifamily is 10 or 11 feet floor plates, and then if you add a pitched roof, which is more I would say, fits into neighborhoods more. That, and it's usually like the midpoint of that pitch. So that's part of the reasoning is that, 3 floors plus part of a pitch roof allows for that flexibility. But I understand we should know and find out what their height limit is.
Yeah, because we didn't want to require
Yeah, that
another
makes sense.
new vehicle.
So if you were to make a motion, you could put a condition on it that it's verification from fire that what is the height that they can manage.
And that would just be for that one specific item.
That is the only one I've moved up, yes.
Kind of a clerical thing, but on the page 2 for the limited district lot width, you've 75 feet. That's not in red.
Thank you. Yes,
Should be
I did
red.
reuse that. Appreciate that.
Which one was that?
So the
minimum
low density,
bottom chart.
the lot width would reduce by
Second one.
5 to go along with that 10,000 square feet lot size.
So, okay, it was 80 and even lower
Correct.
than 75.
Correct. Thank you.
Well, having all of the exact same things on every low, high, medium density doesn't
Right.
seem like that makes a lot of sense. I'm throw that out there, so.
A change needed to be made.
Yeah, I would say it makes sense.
I agree.
Do I hear a motion coming anytime soon?
I will motion that we recommend to the village board to approve the table changes. I like the table format, with a condition that we confirm the rig reach for the fire truck.
Yep, and then limit it at whatever we can
Limit it to
currently
that,
support.
yeah.
I would second that.
Okay. Motion and a second. Which would basically be the recommendation to be everything in red that he has recommended, including the piece, the 75-foot on the main one, for the recommendations for, so we have two, instead of densities, we're actually making it make sense with that.
Right.
Other than the height on the multifamily building, because we had 35 feet for height on every building, so instead of raising one to 45, we need to make sure that that complies with our ladder for our fire, otherwise that wouldn't make any sense, so. Would it, okay. I think we can go with that motion like that, okay. Discussion, does everybody, Sarah, what do you think? Questions?
Is this being driven by a developer?
It came into focus because of a developer had interest and was willing to go through the process of plan unit development, which ultimately puts more cost ultimately on the development, which then gets to the homeowners that are in that, puts more time on village staff to review over time, and for you also to review. So a lot of communities are going away from trying to have plan unit development. It's still available, but it's trying to find a way that you make the actual conventional districts, as we call them, more flexible. So it was driven initially by reviewing a development. It wasn't requested by them. It just made sense to me that the current standards should change in density as you go.
So you were going through a development and there was a certain density listed, somebody wanted to do something off, so now you have to do a complete paperwork to go through a motion to change that density on the comp plan for that, instead of just looking at all of these holistically and making the change and then allowing that flexibility, so that doesn't have to happen, so. Any other questions or thoughts? It makes sense to me that we don't just have one standard that applies to every single thing. That seems to be, doesn't make a lot of sense, right? You're gonna put a duplex in, there should be a little bit different adjustment there. Otherwise, you're gonna have to come to the plan commission every single time and say, hey, I'm putting a duplex and I need to adjust the comp plan, right?
Kind of surprised it wasn't done originally.
Yeah, I think this is just fixing an error probably, or a mistake of changing, because why would we have medium and high density?
Yeah, if they're all the same.
Yeah.
Is everybody okay with the recommendations that MSA put forward?
I think so. And most communities do have different sizes for the different densities, don't they?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
I think it was just an oversight on our part.
Okay. Well, I think we have some thoughts after that part of this, but for this specific one, I think we have a motion and a second. Sarah, anybody, just, any other questions or?
No.
Okay, sounds good. Vote?
Crackwell,
Yes.
Millsap,
Yes.
Dombrowski,
Yes.
Post. Yes. Groneman,
Yes.
Hollenbeck.
Yes.
Okay. Motion approved. Okay, so we'll make that recommendation for the village board with that stipulation on the height after verification, so. If we could get that verification before the meeting, then we would be able to put the whole thing in, so. Just make a note of that, Yessie. Okay. All right. Moving on to item number C, discussion and possible action on amendment to the BC Central Business District. This is Spring Street for residents.
So on
Yes.
page 2 of the staff report, you can see what areas are in red. That is properties that are in that business central district. The applicant, that's in black box. And then the map below that shows the areas that may allow the direction to approve through conditional use, conditions, for potential ground or street level residential. So there's an applicant, but again, this is a global change to the district to allow that option. So again, you're just opening the door to the option. Each case, if any of these properties that are circled come forward, they have to state their case, you review it based on the information. Does it impact the building, impact the neighborhood? What conditions are necessary to make it a viable option that is not impacting the community? The question that was asked about the specific applicant in this case, if this were to be approved, then the avenue is available for a submittal of a conditional use for that. The building is a historic traditional storefront. There could be a consideration of a condition of approval about maintaining this historic elements within that facade, and that conditional use permit is only viable with the current owner of that property. If it would change hands, that conditional use permit would go away. So this is the difference from the last request, which is a rezone to a residential use. Then there is no avenue to put restrictions about maintaining that historic quality of that facade. So that's why I said this was an option to consider for properties that are off Main, because the comp plan specifically says it should prohibit residential on the ground floor on Main. And so that was why this is only an option for those areas that are in red, in this case, if you were to recommend approval.
How do you handle building fronts that have large display windows and somebody wants to turn that into a private residence? Well, how does that work?
I mean, we're getting to specifics. I agree. That's why I was concerned if it was a rezone, because if it was altering the building completely, you probably would raise that window. There'll be blinds. The likely scenario is this case, if you have the conditions, if this were to be an avenue, and they come back with a conditional use, and you don't allow those modifications, the reality is it probably will have blinds that may be closed a good portion of the time, potentially. Or there's a setup of that space that doesn't impact privacy as much.
Well, you're not going to look at a display window with a blind wall with insulation and studs facing out to the street.
I would make sure that you consider conditions that would not allow that case.
I appreciate you identified which properties are possibly affected. And really, the only two that are pertinent are Jen's property and the one right next door, which is with the Masons or whatever. So it's really only ever Jen's property. Otherwise, half of these are homes already.
Well, it could also be, I think, the tap house, that's off. I mean,
They're going gangbusters.
I
don't see it
know,
going
I
back
know,
into a
but I'm
house.
just thinking like globally from a future thinking perspective. I'm not saying we shouldn't approve this or one way
It
or
would
another,
still
but
have to come before,
they would still need to come before and get approval.
Correct.
I just think we need to be careful of what we're approving for future, because we won't always be here.
correct.
But I like your limitations that you just mentioned about not automatic basically transferring.
Correct.
I think when we had this presented before, what was presented just didn't give a whole lot of flexibility and options, but that property isn't on Main Street, and it is, what can they do? You know what I mean? They're boxed in right now, kind of what to do with it, right? So, but you mentioned, is it a historical building or just the look of it is?
I should verify, I don't think it's on any historical registry. I'm just noting that your traditional storefront, that is what it is.
Yep. Okay.
With the glass, the transom above, and the bottom infill portion. It's your typical historic from back in the day storefronts.
And can we make it possible that it would never be a primary residence? It has to be a rental property, so that you don't end up with somebody who inherits a piece of property that, you know, they come to little old Cambridge and they find, oh, what am I going to do with that? You know, I mean, you need something that you could either put a business in there or whatnot, as opposed to say a private home.
Mm-hmm.
But you said a new different owner CUP goes away.
Yes, correct. And I would say
Is that even true with inheritance? I don't know. I've never thought about that before.
It's a new twist. To answer your question, though, I would say state law would not allow you to define rental or ownership. Usually it's to protect the opposite, that you can't restrict it to home ownership.
But are you saying we couldn't restrict it to being rental property?
To my knowledge, that is not allowed. No, correct.
Say probably not.
So they call it a condo, and all of a sudden now it's a private home.
No, condos can be private homes.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dean?
I'm fine with it.
I wasn't all right last time because of the way it was kind of like, all right, this would just have to be like this. This seems to be a more workable situation for everybody, I guess. So.
I'm okay with it. It's a limited number of properties. Each one has to come in front of us.
Mhm.
It does put things in our control.
Correct.
All the recommendation is that we look to allow that rezoning in that area on those affected properties. The owners would still have to come before, same thing, right, to do any actual plans for that, correct?
We're being asked to allow a conditional use of off Main Street to be.
Yes, to be considered for residential, right?
I'm a little bit afraid it could be a slippery slope, though, if we, I don't know, if we allow it for someone, where does it end then?
That's my concern.
That's what I'm a little worried about.
All conditional uses in general are case by case. There's generally not evidence of what a previous submittal was. But I did want to make this point. I just didn't want to cloud the issue. Is I probably will be recommending a more criteria-based conditional use review.
Yeah.
Currently, the ordinance is not very clear.
Yep.
Typically, you would have, there's like 5 or 6 conditions, and you would vote, yes, it meets those or not. And so I will be a future request if we move forward with this. But it's a case-by-case request, and they would have to be, if there's more stringent of what the criteria that you're reviewing it on, it will be more on that front.
That's the big fear on my part, because if we've allowed it in the past and then you don't have anything you can point to that says, well, we can't do this and we can do that, then what, we let it go in the past, I guess we got to let it go now, and that's what I don't want to see.
And another change was, I think it was Act 67 a few years ago. You can only deny by substantial evidence that doesn't meet the criteria of the ordinance. That was a change. So even past experiences wouldn't have had that restriction.
Anybody feel like motion on this one?
I'm a little, I feel like this is a really gray discussion. partly because I think the BC Central Business District, as noted in the ordinance, is not very complete. And I think that's what Steve was just saying. It's like, it's basically saying you can do anything that's in BG. And I guess I'm a little concerned, like, and maybe that doesn't matter for now because we would have to review it, but that someone could come and say, oh, we're doing Airbnb, or we're doing a room housing thing.
Yep.
So that's the slippery slope that I'm worried about.
I agree with you.
Valid,
Yeah.
valid, but we're not.
So I know we're not
saying this-
doing that tonight, but I think I just want
Right, but we're not opening this conditional use to all of BC. We're only opening it up to
the side.
BC that
streets.
does not face Main Street.
Yeah.
So,
I still think
so it is a very limited number of properties. Because all of this is residential already, as is this.
And there is residential in the upper floor. This is just addressing the first floor,
Well,
where it was
I don't
storefront.
have a good feeling of how many vacancies there are in the upper floors on Main Street. So I guess I'm not sure.
Well, this, I think, goes to his point about what is the criteria we're
Yeah.
basing it on, and we're just trying to come up with
Yeah.
things on, you know what I mean?
And we got no
So that's not-
criteria. We absolutely got no criteria right now. So, how soon can we get criteria?
I'm sure I could turn around for next month if that's what you'd like.
I think we're gonna open the door to this. We ought to have some
I agree.
weapons to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
The more I hear, it would be we're just basing it on what we think and what we know, it walked in the room, and that's about it. There's not like any data of like, all right, this makes sense, what's our criteria, right? So, if we push this off for a month, could you come back and have us with criteria that we could actually work off of that, so we could look at that, or?
Well, I got a question for you before we go there.
Okay.
Can we move forward with the motion that's here, and before we, because it's got to wait another month before we can approve the conditional use
Right.
anyways.
Sure.
So then we could have the criteria in place.
To
I don't know, could we vote on the criteria and the user criteria for the conditional use both next month then? Because I don't want to put the
yeah.
developer off
To
2
move it,
more months to
sure.
get this rolling.
It's just more empty storefronts.
Mhm.
It's just gonna sit empty.
If we're making a plan like that to address it, right, and it's coming out that way, I feel better about it.
Mhm.
So what we'd be looking to do if there isn't an, we have further discussion, but the motion would be to recommend approval of that amendment for the BC Central District. Again, they're gonna have to come before with a plan, right? Which does have to get approved, but then we would be looking for criteria to base these on for the next time, so we could go through that and work through that. So,
One question on that, though. Are we stuck in a chicken and egg problem here because their proposal comes through before our criteria are?
well, that's where I was worried, but we're trying to save some time on everybody too, so.
They can be at the same meeting, but you handle the modifications to the
There you
criteria
go.
first.
That would have to be first on the agenda then.
You would have both public hearings, but the act, you would want to act on the criteria first.
Okay, all right.
So we'd have to have a hearing and make an act and then do our other hearings.
Just don't want to have somebody invalidate the.
Nope, I
Yeah.
want to do it right too. Okay. Does that make sense, Yessie, if we were to add that on there, if that would be the plan? So we don't have a motion yet, but we're just discussing, so.
Yes.
Okay. Any other thoughts or concerns on it? Do we have a motion in this one?
I can
Or
make
do we want to wait for next month, or?
I'll make a motion to, well, what's the actual motion?
Or can we just postpone the whole thing until next month?
I
Then
think
we're going to do all 3 actions next month?
Yeah, we'd have to do all 3 at the same time then. Yeah. think it makes sense that we move this forward,
I think so.
but at the hearing that we would recommend that we have to go through the approval of the criteria that we're using for that at next month's plan.
Okay, so like hypothetically, if Steve gave us criteria and got a packet and we came and we looked at it and we didn't agree on it,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't approve it, then that would be yet one more month for the
Yep, that's true.
real estate company.
The risk is still government slowed down. So, but yeah, that would be a
Yeah.
risk, correct.
Yeah,
No
I should know
guarantees
it
that
might.
we're all gonna be
They
the
could
same.
always pay for a special meeting, too.
Yep, that's true.
They want to speed things up.
I will say that my staff report on a submittal of that would be, typically would have to be based on what currently is available as ordinance. So that is a factor to consider.
Okay. We got a couple ways to go. Dean was considering a motion.
I'll still throw a motion out there to what is the actual wording that I'm
The
looking
last
for?
paragraph is going
I
to
think so.
tell you what the potential action could be, which would be approve the text amendment. The BC zoning district would add ground street level residential units except for properties with frontage on Main Street, and with the caveat that appropriate criteria be developed and voted on first.
Did you get all that?
No?
But
And I
I
can't
will
repeat
listen
it.
to the recording, and that will be in the minutes.
I'll make a motion to have an amendment to Chapter 17 that would allow, that would permit BC Central Business District to allow conditional use for street/ground level residential units except for properties with frontage along Main Street, with the caveat that
Appropriate.
appropriate criteria is agreed upon.
Prior to the plan being approved.
Very good.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
Now we can vote for it.
Okay. Thoughts anymore? It also seems a lot of procedural that we got to do, and I do think there's some
does.
cleanup that we need to do on some of these ordinances
Oh, yeah.
overall, and look at that. But that's a future agenda item that doesn't address this. So. I think we have enough coverage in there with the criteria vote that we'd have to do. So as long as you can actually get that before our next plan commission, so if that doesn't happen, then we aren't voting on that. So then it would delay. So. We have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? How about a vote?
Crickwell,
Yes.
Millsap,
Did she say? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry, going deaf.
Lendarski,
Yes.
Scholl,
Yes.
and, I'm sorry. Gronemus,
Yes.
Hollenbeck.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. Make that recommendation to the board.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please make sure that we're gonna have, and let's make a note to discuss that criteria that we've added in there for that in case it comes up at discussion tomorrow's meeting. It may, probably will. Sarah and I will discuss it, but if you could try to make sure that's part of that, that would be great. Okay. Those are items. Moving on to number 8, future agenda items. Jenny, I think you kind of alluded to, why don't we take a
Yeah,
look at
I think-
holistically, instead of every time something comes up that we gotta look at these ordinances, why don't we holistically look at the plan ordinances?
It seems like every time I read the ordinances, there's maybe something missing or something's confusing.
Well, we just found the one
And we
about the same uniform thing. Is
Right.
that, I mean, we just, I don't know who has looked at it. Has this plan commission looked at those ordinances?
No.
In a while? Okay. Why don't we add that as a future agenda item to review the,
You're probably gonna have to cut it in pieces.
we're
Yeah.
gonna have to divide and conquer, I think, probably. But let's add that as a future agenda item.
Yeah, we could each do a couple sections or something and report out, maybe.
Okay.
The other
I
thing
think-
that would be helpful in that would be, we can read it and interpret things, but having others that actually work with it,
Yeah,
Yep.
developers and builders, and
that's a good point.
they're the ones that really find the things that
Mm.
could be different. And having them involved in the review would be important, but how do you do that?
Well, I think
You have a me-
MSA is
Mhm.
also a good resource
There- yeah,
because he's
that's good.
working with different municipalities.
That would be good.
They could be able to go through and this is stuff that, you know what I mean, like help us out, fill in the gaps type of thing, so. Okay.
I have one item, once we're done here, I have one item I want to bring up as just a question for staff.
Okay. Any other future agenda items? I think I like that idea. I don't know yet how we should, like I said, probably have to divide and conquer, get some influence from MSA, so. But let's add that as a future agenda.
So,
I just have a comment as well, so.
me first.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to raise a question about a storefront we have on Main Street. Our illustrious Row Pottery. We have a stair step up to the door, and we have a railing that looks like a non-conforming railing to me. It's like a 2x4s, essentially. Now maybe it's been taken down since I looked last, but
It's there permanently.
yeah.
I know what you're talking
That
about.
doesn't look right. And I wonder if we should instruct our building inspector or somebody to take a look at that and see if there's something to be done there.
If it's out of compliance or if there's
Well,
an issue
do our
or-
ordinances address that?
Well, if
Well, I
it's
think the
accessible,
strength
it's gotta
order-
be it's accessibility issue. It's not even an ordinance, it's like a building code issue.
Yeah.
It's a building code
It's-
issue, so.
Yeah. If it's an existing building, the ramping and stuff into it probably is still fine, but they need to have a railing that's graspable
A
and.
proper
yeah.
railing, yeah.
So
So,
it is, I mean, it's grabbable and
As long as it's the appropriate height off the ground and sturdy, then it'll probably meet code.
well, but it doesn't look like it to me. So, I don't know.
Can we verify that? Okay.
And
Yes,
then
but
my-
I think that'll go into yours,
Yeah,
right?
it does, yeah. How did
Yes.
you know? So I emailed Brian and the village administrator and Chris Brunig and asked if there was going to be an RFP going out for building inspection, because we had talked about that early on when we switched to MSA. And the answer I received was no. So I just wanted to share that information. And I'm only thinking about, I mean, MSA does a great job. I think the reports are great. I don't find fault with their service. I just wanted to make sure that Cambridge was actually evaluating fees.
The cost,
The
yeah.
cost of it.
They're doing a good job of
We
might
don't
be
know if
paying.
we could be paying twice as much as we pay someone else to do the same
And
thing.
if RFP gives us a chance to look at other options and look especially cost, which I think is important.
Yeah.
for
And
the
they're
village.
doing our building code home inspections and stuff too?
They're doing their home inspections, engineering for the village, and our zoning administration.
Okay.
and I think when this originally started, they were gonna just be a temporary
They were.
stopgap thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, until we found somebody else.
Right.
now. Okay.
Can you were told no?
I was told no.
So can we instruct staff to do that?
Well, the village board could.
Right.
Well,
I think that's a really good idea.
I don't know if you would know the answer to this. I thought we were gonna be sharing like the Deerfield building inspector or something, weren't we
there was a
going?
discussion when before Lisa left, Lisa Moen left, she was talking to Village Deerfield about sharing inspection services, and I don't know where that went, or if that just went away when she left.
Not sure what happened with that.
Yeah,
So staff would be doing that work then?
It would mean that Lucy and Yessie would probably have to put out RFPs, which is additional work on them. And I
Sure.
think that was part of the concern, is that they're already
Well,
fairly enough. I mean,
well,
they're already bogged down with
Penny
what
wise
they're
and
dealing
pound
with.
foolish, though, if we don't.
It might be. I don't know. I mean, MSA might be competitive, but they might not be. We just don't know.
A similar problem occurs with the attorneys. Similar problem does. I know that.
I mean, I think we're able to do that as a board or recommend it, right? To request
Plan
that
commission
they go
probably has
out
to
for
recommend
those.
it to the village
Village
board.
board.
Yeah, so,
And then they would discuss it. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
and have a discussion.
I mean, like I said, I think MSA is great. I think it's interesting that they're doing all 3 services for us.
Mhm.
And it seems like we're putting a lot of eggs in one basket.
And I do kind of wonder if, could that become a conflict of interest?
There's a lot,
Maybe.
Even?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to feel bad about getting them out of this because they're already doing 5 other things for
Yeah.
the village too, so, okay. I don't think we can probably add that to the village board agenda for tomorrow night, but
Right.
Yessie, can we make a recommendation that we add that to a future village board agenda meeting to at least discuss the status of a potential RFP for building inspection services and et cetera? Because I think it was addressed, and then
Mm-hmm.
let's let everybody know what the status is, if we're going to do that or no, so.
I will pass that along.
Okay,
To be
again,
added,
I don't
yeah.
think it'll probably be on tomorrow night's
Right,
agenda,
right,
but
right.
No.
the next time we can have, okay.
And I have a question. 2 meetings ago, we were talking about the fee structure,
Mm-hmm.
and I missed the last meeting. Was that ever been finalized? Was that, because I know she presented
Mm-hmm.
some ideas, but I don't know that we ever went back and finalized
You want me to
anything.
Go ahead.
So, we recommended that the village board approve it. I think they approved it at the last meeting.
Mhm.
Okay,
And so it was in effect the next day.
okay.
And then I actually also followed up with Lucy on how that's going to be enforced, because I wasn't quite sure. I mean, we have fees for fences and pools, installations and things like that. So I don't know I wasn't sure how residents were going to know that now there are fees for things that we weren't charging for before, and asked if there could be like a flyer sent out or publication or something. I think the plan is to send a note with the next tax bill to let people know.
Okay.
Well, along those lines, I was thinking, in the future, I think the fee structure probably should be reviewed
Right,
periodically.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever, doesn't matter.
yeah.
But it would probably make more sense to have some sort of an ad hoc committee made up of somebody from this commission, maybe economic development, village board, staff, maybe 5 members, and maybe build it into, institutionalize it into what goes on, maybe at the village board level, that maybe every 3 years in January, you appoint the committee, and then from then until September, you review that stuff and come up with whatever recommendations, so it can be effective the following year. I mean, I just think that we can discuss
We
that.
never
at-
life cycle it. There's a new
Right.
commission, and then they don't realize that it hasn't been
Right,
looked at in
right.
10 years.
That's
They're like,
why
oh,
it's gotta
wow, I
be-
didn't know.
It's got to be institutionalized. It's got to be made part of what goes on.
It should be done and timed out with village budgets and everything else. So if
Right.
there's a new fee structure, whenever it's going to hit at a certain time,
Right.
and so that work group just work backwards from it.
Yeah,
So,
and
yep.
like I said, whatever years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, that doesn't matter, just periodically.
Sounds like a second agenda item to add to a future board meeting is a recommendation from the Plan Commission that the village establish
Schedule.
a scheduled governance group to review the fee structure. And that it should not just land on the Plan Commission, it should be a working.
Well, it's because the fees could come from all different
Correct.
parts of the government.
Yep.
So,
I agree. I think that's a good one. And it's just part of that work, so. Okay. Any other future agenda items? We're adding them on now. So get them all out of your system.
I have one thing. This came up, I think, at a regular village board meeting, that we don't have anything in place in regards to having a data center in Cambridge.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah,
And
it came
Like
up
an
in
ordinance
economic
against
development.
having
Yes.
a data center.
So
yeah.
I think since those are popping up all over the place, I think that's something that we should discuss and maybe consider having an ordinance for?
It came up in economic development. Economic development talked
to
about it. We said that there's nothing economic development probably has anything to do about it.
Review,
It
yeah.
needs to be discussed at the planning commission level.
Oh.
That's what we, well,
Yeah.
economic development doesn't allow data centers, even if they're good or bad, right? It's so,
Yeah.
okay, I think that's a future agenda item as well.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Lucy told me that I'd have an item on the agenda tonight, and apparently that didn't happen.
No, I don't
This has
think it
been
did,
a
so.
Thrilling meeting.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she
What,
told me I'd have a CSM on the agenda. Maybe I can
No.
just leave this?
No, we
for
can't
village board?
go, we have to have it be actually on the agenda and posted for it, so I,
Mm.
yeah, sorry about that. And the agendas are posted too, so.
Cool. All right.
Not
See you in a
cool,
month.
but sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that, again, so.
I'm Dan Higgs from Combs Surveying. Got a CSM for Jacqueline Spahn in the town of Oakland.
Okay. Let's make sure that's on the agenda for the next time.
That's extraterritorial?
it's gotta be, yeah.
It's gotta be an extraterritorial. Have they voted on it?
Yeah, I wondered that.
Okay.
Oh.
Isn't that usually ones where the other,
Yeah, we
Communities
wouldn't, because it's
voted
town of
already
Oakland,
on
we
it?
wouldn't really.
Yeah, we don't approve it.
so why wouldn't that first go to the town of Oakland, and then once it's passed through those approvals, then
Yeah,
it comes
yeah,
to us?
yeah, well-
Maybe it has.
Do you know anything about it?
Well, it wasn't on the agenda. There's nothing we can do about it
Yeah,
right
and it
now.
sounds like you can't just hand out.
Mm.
No.
Okay. All right, any other future agenda items? All right, item number 9.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
I'll third.
All in favor? Aye. All right, meeting adjourned.